To death in their home Monday night in a suburb of Austin. A suspect is in custody and police say it's their 45-year-old son. Seth Carnes is in custody for the murder of his parents, former district judge Burt Carnes and his wife Susan. In the arrest affidavit, Carnes' 20-year-old daughter had called 911 late Monday night. She admitted, or rather Seth had admitted, to killing his parents. He said he thought his mother was trying to put a sleeping pill in his mouth. When asked about why he shot his father, he said, quote, "I've just been looking for something and figured I would finish the job," unquote. He is being held without bond. A third arrest has been made in the murders of a pregnant teen and her boyfriend in San Antonio. 47-year-old Marta Romeos faces charges including abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. These charges are in connection with the deaths of 18-year-old Savannah Soto and 22-year-old Matthew Guerra. Authorities believe she is tied to the two suspects arrested last week in the case, and they say she admitted that her gun was the murder weapon. Authorities do not believe there are any other suspects involved in this case. ERCOT has issued a weather watch from January 15th through the 17th. The watch is due to forecasted extreme cold weather across the ERCOT region, higher electrical demand, and the potential for lower reserves. Grid conditions are expected to be normal during an ERCOT weather watch. ERCOT continues to monitor conditions closely and will deploy all available tools to manage the grid, and they say no action is further needed. And with that, let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez.
Well, thank you very much, folks. Yeah, we are looking at the coldest air of the year coming in next week, and ERCOT's now paying attention. The thing is, it's not going to be like the big chill that we had a couple years ago because there's not enough ice and snow. Nonetheless, we're going to be picking up quite a bit of weather. High pressure is going to come in, and this was going to settle down for Thursday. But then on Friday, the first cold front is going to cause some 40-mile-an-hour winds, and then the real cold air comes in by Monday. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. San Antonio fire crews responded to a 2-alarm fire at a warehouse early this morning. KSAT reported that cause of a fire came in just before 7 a.m. These massive flames could be seen coming out of the building. Fire crews managed to stop the fire at the front of the business, but they're still working on putting the rest of the fire out. Authorities said one person had been inside and was able to leave safely. They are still investigating the cause of the fire. However, they do not believe the fire to have started maliciously. A new law that allows state law enforcement to arrest migrants suspected of illegally crossing the border has some leaders in the Rio Grande Valley wondering how they can enforce that.
Senate Bill 4 has many local leaders hitting the drawing board to figure out a plan to enforce the law. It allows local law enforcement to arrest migrants suspected of crossing the border illegally. The Department of Justice sued the state over it. They want the law to be ruled unconstitutional. Hidalgo County District Attorney Toribio Palacios says his office is waiting for a ruling to decide how to proceed.
We don't know what's going to happen at this point, so let's see what the lawsuit comes out on the federal side.
The Mission Police Department says if the law does take effect, they will comply. But they are looking to the state for guidance on how to enforce it.
There's a lot of unknowns at this time.
Teodoro Rodriguez is Mission's Assistant Chief of Police. He says an influx in arrests could be a challenge for his department.
Well, I can tell you that our resources are limited to our agency, to what we work with on a day-to-day basis. But we do certainly have resources to manage our community. On an influx, I think any agency, doesn't matter size, would certainly be tasked with overwhelming odds.
We spoke with Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz. She says Senate Bill 4 is necessary to secure the border because of what she calls a lack of action by the Biden administration. But she understands the concerns from local law enforcement.
Local sheriffs, local law enforcement should not be doing the federal government's job. And I understand why they're worried. They were elected and their job is to protect local communities.
Senate Bill 4 also requires a judge to order migrants to return to Mexico if they're convicted. We asked the Hidalgo County District Attorney which judges would preside over those cases.
That's what the law's not clear about. That's what we're waiting for the pending litigation, see if they're going to clear that up for us so we can know how to execute.
We also raised the question about Senate Bill 4 leading to racial profiling. The Mission Police Department says their officers will not stop anyone based on how they look.
We're not going to profile. We are not going to profile people as we conduct our law enforcement duties. That is something that we are totally against.
The DOJ's lawsuit was filed in an Austin federal court. It names the governor and the director of DPS. A date to hear arguments has not been yet set. Now, the Texas Tribune reported that Governor Greg Abbott raised $19 million over the last 6 months in an effort to support political candidates who advocate for expanding school choice in the state of Texas. You can read the full article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. But this is going to lead us to your viewer poll this afternoon. We want to know, should an elected official use campaign funds to target opponents? Yes or no? We want to hear your opinion on this. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca wave. Port Lavaca has received new signs in several public outdoor spaces in an effort to bring public awareness to rules and regulations. Plus, the Calhoun County Commissioner's Court has authorized for an increase in funds for the Sheriff's Office. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Now, we recently had all of the mayoral candidates live on 25 News Now to hear their various platforms. Now we're giving you a chance to learn more about their character and personality. We asked all of the candidates the same 4 questions. Our first question was for them to show us an important item in their home or office. Number 2, talk to me about your dream job when you were a child. Number 3, if elected mayor, what is your greatest fear? And finally, what is your favorite quote and why?
My dad wrote a book about his childhood, and 100%, that's my most valuable tangible possession. Yeah.
Is that a book that you can purchase, or it's available?
No, it's actually he put it together, and there's 5 copies, and each of my siblings and myself have one, and so that's irreplaceable as far as I'm concerned. You know, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, which, you know, what kid doesn't? What a great job, but it's not what the cards held for me, obviously. Yeah, you know, I think anytime you're going into a position with those kind of responsibilities or a project, your greatest fear has to be what information is out there that I don't know about, that if I did know about it, I could attack this issue better, I could handle this situation better. So I think it's just a fear of what's out there that you need to know that you don't know about, which is why I'm always trying to, you know, get additional information and study, try to learn everything I can about what I'm working on. There is, and it's too long to quote here, but it's referred to as the man in the arena, and it's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and the gist of it is basically putting yourself out there, doing things that open yourself up to potential criticism, to potential scorn, slings and arrows from others, that sort of thing, but doing so because you know that that's something that you need to do and you want to do. But that's always been my favorite quote.
That was Dwayne Crocker. Also on the ballot, Josephine Solis, Jacob Sauceda, Peter Brown, Carissa Winters, and Robert Bob Constantine. Early voting starts January 17th and runs through January 30th. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayor election. Next Monday is the Martin Luther King March and Program. The march starts at 10 a.m. and begins at the Martin Luther King Park on 3808 Callis Street. It will then end at St. Peter's Baptist Church, where a program celebrating MLK will take place. Guest speaker and civil rights attorney Matthew Manning will be attending the program. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Hunter Biden makes an unexpected appearance on Capitol Hill during his criminal contempt hearing. That's straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Also ahead, YouTube is promoting videos with life-saving health information. Today, House Republicans started the process of holding Hunter Biden in criminal contempt of Congress, and the president's son made an unexpected appearance with his lawyers outside of the hearing room. The House Oversight and Judiciary Committees both subpoenaed Biden for his testimony as part of the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. However, he didn't show up for a closed-door deposition last month.
Hunter Biden, you were too afraid to show up for a deposition, and you still can't today. I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt. I think he should be hauled off to jail right now.
The House impeachment inquiry comes from unproven claims that President Biden was involved in or financially benefited from his son's foreign business dealings. If the contempt resolution passes out of committee, it's referred to the full House for a vote. If that succeeds, the Justice Department would determine whether to prosecute. The American Cancer Society estimated that roughly 2 million Americans would be diagnosed with cancer last year, and in that time, more than 609,000 people would die of the disease. But there's new research that shows how early detection can help save lives.
They're powerful weapons against a potentially life-threatening disease. Screenings can detect cancer early.
Many cancers found with screening techniques are actually quite curable.
The American Cancer Society says the top 5 cancer screenings to set up in 2024 start with a mammogram. The organization recommends women at age 40 start talking to their doctor about scheduling one. By age 45, every woman should have an annual mammogram. Women with a higher risk of breast cancer may need screening earlier.
And women that are younger, often with dense breast, may need additional testing even beyond a mammogram.
Next, set up a colorectal cancer screening for people who aren't at high risk based on factors like family history or a previous polyp. There's a home test. Those at average risk or higher should get a colonoscopy starting at age 45. Your results will dictate how often this screening is needed. Third, prostate cancer screening. That's recommended for men starting between the ages of 45 and 50. And by age 50, it should be an annual discussion with their doctor. African Americans and others at higher risk for this disease may need screening as early as age 40. Fourth, screening for cervical cancer, which is most often caused by the human papillomavirus or HPV.
Women should start by age 25, have an HPV test.
That test can be done at the same time as a patient's pap smear. And finally, set up a lung cancer screening starting at age 50 for smokers or former smokers with a 20-pack year history. For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
YouTube is planning to promote videos with emergency first aid information for heart attacks, seizures, and other medical issues. If the time arises and someone needs help in saving, or rather giving CPR or doing the Heimlich maneuver, videos with step-by-step information will be available. The feature is called First Aid Information Shelves and has life-saving knowledge from the American Heart Association, Harvard's Mass General, and the Mexican Red Cross. YouTube says these videos will be available in other languages. Now here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Cuero Record. Ben Gray becomes the new DeWitt County Assistant District Attorney, and the Cuero Rotary Club announces 5 new members. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. And now here's Mac.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. A beautiful day out there. You think it's going to stay like that? Well, no, it's all going to be changing. Right now, we're looking at 67 degrees. We managed to get up to a good 70 today, and that was about it. Now, notice that this morning we were down to 36. Next couple of days, those temperatures are going to be kind of scary, actually, as we're looking for some 20-degree temperatures coming in next week. So we'll be talking all about your extended outlook coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. We've got an interesting weather situation in the next 5 days. I wanted to show you this map. These are the low temperatures that we see for the next 5 days. Now, for your Thursday, tomorrow morning, not as cold as it was this morning because the south wind will be kicking in. And then Friday, we're down into the 30s again because that dry northwest wind's rolling in. And then for the weekend, we've got a 50, and Sunday, we got a 36. But by Monday morning, we're down to 24, and that is freezing. And so now is the time to get ready for that. Now, why do we have to get ready for that? Well, pipes are probably going to freeze. If you have your water pipes up in the open air that the wind can get to them, you don't want them to freeze, do you? So you got to get them wrapped up with that little foamy stuff they sell at Home Depot. And then the pets got to make sure they've got some, you know, if you have an outdoors dog, make sure he has housing, food, and water and all that. The plants, well, they're really going to take it because we're going to be in the 20s for about 3 days in the morning. And then, of course, you know, what do we do with people? People who don't have homes, which is a situation nowadays. Right now, we're looking at fairly comfortable temperatures. I mean, we got up into the 60s today. No significant winds, although it was chilly this morning and a little breezy. Right about now, the winds have settled down somewhat. And as you can see, they're generally less than 10 miles an hour. And tomorrow, a pretty good Thursday. Friday, things are going to change on you. The reason we're okay is because high pressure is on top of us, and that gives us the quiet weather that settled down the winds. This is our old storm from Monday. It's way out there, but this is the one we're looking at. It's a fast-moving frontal system. This will be down into our area on Friday. And here's Future Tracker, and let me show you what's going to be happening over the next 4 or 5 days. Now, as we go from your Wednesday on into your Thursday, you can see how that low is going to roll rapidly down into Texas. We're going to have a strong wind ahead of it, and then we've got really strong winds behind it with some icy weather possibly up in the Panhandle. That's a Friday windstorm, okay? Then it settles down for your Saturday and Sunday. But then, hello, we're talking by Sunday night, that storm's going to be a big thing up in the Rockies, and then it rolls into Texas. And what did you see here? Snow, ice, and rain. Now, the question is, how far down will the ice get? Well, right now it's a little bit out, but I just want you to be ready for this. On Monday night or Monday, we may have icy weather mix. As far south maybe as I-10 corridor. Okay, that's real close to us, and so we're going to have to watch it because that line is going to be 100 miles from us or less, and so we've got to watch it very carefully. Your Port Lavaca forecast, we're looking for mostly cloudy in the morning, and then southerly winds will get stronger. That's why we're looking for a 70 tomorrow. For those of you in Cuero, we're getting down to 56 in the morning, 73 tomorrow being your Thursday, but that's short term, folks. In Victoria, we're going to go sunny, getting up to about 70 in the afternoon, but your extended outlook, here's where we go. We got windy for Friday, not bad for Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday night, the big front blows in. The high temperature on Monday, 39, down to 21, 29 degrees early next week. So let's get ready for that now that we have time to plan for it. That's your 7-day forecast. We want to remind everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, new data is showing promising news for Americans looking for a new place to live. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 171 points, the S&P 500 up 27 points, and the Nasdaq up 112 points. Oil down 91 cents, closing at $71.33 a barrel. Today's report from the Mortgage Bankers Association showed mortgage applications shot up 9.9% during the first week of January. Analysts say this major hike is promising for the overall market. It hints that dropping interest rates are getting more house hunters back on. The average rate for a 30-year fixed loan is now just over 6.6%. That's according to Freddie Mac. Analysts say rates have been sliding since hitting nearly 7.8% back in October. Now, just one day after the head of Boeing admitted the company made a mistake in last week's terrifying incident involving an Alaska Airlines plane, a Boeing source says the mistake likely occurred in the manufacturing supply chain, but further details have not been explained. The flight carrying 177 people made an emergency landing shortly after takeoff from Portland last Friday when part of the plane broke loose, leaving a gaping hole on the side of the plane. The cause of the incident is still being investigated. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast. Plus, the first real snowstorm of the season hits parts of Illinois yesterday. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, we have breaking news. Chris Christie dropping out of the presidential race, but not before a hot mic picked up what he was saying about Nikki Haley. The deadly avalanche in the U.S., the search and rescue right now. In the Northeast, rescues from the floods, and now the new storm brewing. We'll track it next.
An East Texas town is on a mission to be crowned as the quinceañera capital of Texas. That's going to be pretty hard.
That's going to be tough, yeah.
But you can read this full story by the Texas Tribune on our CrossroadsToday.com website. Illinois saw its first real snowstorm of the season yesterday. Up to 8 inches of snow fell across the area, creating a playground for some of the young people there and a work zone for others as residents and city leaders tried to keep driveways, sidewalks, and roadways clear. Forecasters yesterday said the town was expected to be one of the hardest hit areas in the Chicago region. You know, we don't get any snow down here, and it's such a bummer. I always complain, but I bet people up there.
You wouldn't be complaining if you were driving the snowblower.
I know. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah,
what
I know.
Say? Ignorance is bliss.
This is why we live down here, so that we don't have to blow the snow. You can go visit some friends of mine
I'll visit,
in Wisconsin,
sure.
you know.
I won't live there, though.
No, It's a tough thing. Well, folks, we are looking at big changes over the next 5-7 days. Yes, it'll be mild tomorrow. Then the first frontal system rolls in with a very strong wind on Friday. We're talking 40-mile-an-hour winds, so I wouldn't be flying a kite then. The weekend is looking relatively quiet, but then Sunday night is the big chill rolls in. By Monday, the high temperature, as you can see right about there, barely in the 50s. And then we're looking at temperatures overnights in the 20s. What does that mean? Hard freeze. Pets, pipes, plants, people. There's all kinds of P's out there that we need to take care of now before the cold weather arrives.
All right, thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with Dave Amir is up next.
Tonight, breaking news, Chris Christie drops out of the race for president, but not before a hot mic picked up what he was saying about Nikki Haley. Also breaking, the deadly avalanche in the U.S., the search and rescue, the images coming in now. In the Northeast, rescues from the floods, and now the new storm set to move in. First tonight, the breaking news just in, Chris Christie out of the race 5 days before the first voting in Iowa. Tonight, what Christie said about his decision and the most important issue for anyone running for president, he says. And that hot mic moment right beforehand, what he said about Nikki Haley. Rachel Scott in Iowa. The search and rescue, the deadly avalanche in California. Skiers buried in the snow. Search teams battling heavy snow, brutal cold, and winds gusting up to 100 miles an hour to find the victims. The images coming in tonight. In the Northeast, the flood emergency playing out, high water rescues, a potential dam breach forcing evacuations, homes surrounded by water. And now the new storm set to sweep across the country again. It could bring significant snow to some states. Rob Marciano here to time it out. The stunning moment on Capitol Hill today. Hunter Biden arriving unannounced. Just as Republicans were planning to vote to hold the president's son in contempt of Congress, the hearing then thrown into chaos. Republicans shouting insults. The president's son suddenly walking out. Mary Bruce on the Hill tonight. Here in New York, Donald Trump's plan to deliver his own closing argument in the civil fraud trial against him now in doubt. Trump not agreeing to limits set by the judge to stick to the facts and to the evidence in the case. Tonight, new attacks in the Red Sea, U.S. fighter jets, Navy destroyers, joined by the U.K., shooting down 18 drones and 3 missiles launched by Iranian-backed militants. In New York City tonight, another subway train derails. Passengers pulled to safety. The new warning tonight about plastic water bottles, what scientists believe could also be in the water that you're drinking. And tonight, one of the greatest college football coaches of all time and his big announcement just in.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. We do begin tonight with the breaking news, the major shakeup in the race for president. Former Governor Chris Christie dropping out of the race, but not before a hot mic picked up what he was saying about Nikki Haley. Christie making the announcement just moments ago in New Hampshire, a state on which he had pinned his hopes, but where he trails both Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. Just moments ago, Chris Christie, and what he said is the most important issue for anyone running for president, and what he said about the others unwilling to take on Donald Trump. And there was also the moment that went out live before the whole announcement, what he said about Haley. Rachel Scott on the campaign trail. She's leading us off tonight.
Tonight, just 5 days before the first votes are cast, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie with that surprise announcement. he is ending his campaign for the White House.
I am going to make sure that in no way do I enable Donald Trump to ever be president of the United States again. And that's more important than my own personal ambition.
But moments before he took the stage, Christie caught on a hot mic attacking his former rival Nikki Haley, who has been surging in the polls.
She's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
Christie then saying this about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the audio cutting out mid-sentence.
I talked to DeSantis, called me, petrified that I would.
For months, Christie the lone voice, urging his rivals to turn their fire on frontrunner Donald Trump.
We've had these three acting as if the race is between the four of us.
Today, he was blunt.
This is a fight for the soul of our party and the soul of our country.
Declaring only one thing matters.
All those issues that we've talked about at all the town halls, they're all really important. But they're no more important than the most important issue, and that is the character of the candidate. You don't know what's going to come across the next president's desk. You think you can predict it, but you can't.
Christie with these words to his former rivals about Trump.
Anyone who is unwilling to say that he is unfit to be president of the United States is unfit themselves to be president of the United States.
Of course, in that hot mic moment, it's unclear what exactly DeSantis was talking about. Tonight, sources confirming that the Florida governor did speak to Chris Christie today. DeSantis wishing him well. Nikki Haley commending Christie on a very hard-fought campaign. We are told that Christie does not plan to endorse a candidate in this race for now, but polls have shown that his supporters could turn towards Haley. David.
We'll have to see. Rachel Scott leading us off with the breaking news. Rachel, thank you. The other developing story as we come on tonight, this deadly avalanche in California at a ski resort near Lake Tahoe. Skiers on the trails, buried in snow. The video tonight showing the desperate rescue operation, the race to dig through the snow, some of it at least 10 feet deep. Search teams battling brutal cold and winds gusting to 100 miles an hour at times. ABC's Mola Lenghi tonight with the images coming in.
Tonight, terrifying moments after an avalanche at a ski resort near Lake Tahoe, trapping people under the snow.
There's a slide at the mountain with subjects buried.
Experts saying this was a rare inbound avalanche, one that occurs in a controlled area designated for skiing. One man killed, another person injured, 2 more rescued, according to officials.
This is a very sad day for my team and everyone here.
The debris field 150 feet wide and 10 feet deep. Palisades Tahoe reporting the wall of snow slid down the mountain around 9:30 this morning. Mark Sponsler arrived at the base area, finding the lifts shut down.
Skis were sticking up, poles were all over the place. It was an all-hands-on-deck operation to try to get to people as soon as possible.
It was the season opening day for the K-22 chairlift, touted as one of the greatest expert lifts in America, serving difficult black diamond runs. Marcus Franklin was skiing with a friend when he says he saw the mountain slide right in front of them.
I'm counting my blessings that I wasn't actually involved in the avalanche and that I was able to try to help find people who were.
Capturing first responders scrambling to shovel out this man trapped beneath the snow. He finally stands up, sighs of relief. A major winter storm impacting the area, high avalanche danger, heavy snowfall, and wind gusts of over 100 miles per hour forecasted. An average of 28 people die in avalanches every winter in the U.S., and deaths from inbound avalanches like this one even more rare.
Well, David, inbound avalanches like this are incredibly rare because of prevention measures taken. Things like controlled explosions and ski cutting. These tend to trigger controlled avalanches in closed-off areas. And tonight, David, the ski resort says that investigation is underway.
Just a horrific scene there, Mola. Thank you. Meantime, the flood emergency playing out in several states in the Northeast. Families today rescued by boat. A dam they feared could breach. Rivers now dangerously high. And tonight now, a new storm is set to sweep across the country on a very similar track. This time, it could bring significant snow to many states. Here's senior meteorologist Rob Marciano with the images and the forecast with yet another storm now coming.
Tonight, that powerful storm lashing the Northeast. Howling winds sending waves crashing ashore, inland rivers cresting at major flood stage. In Norwich, Connecticut, neighborhoods and businesses inundated with water. Officials evacuating residents near a dam amid fears the Yantic River could bust open.
Hopefully this dam will not go. That's our biggest fear right now.
Rivers raging from Maryland to New Jersey.
Wow, all that rain on top of the weekend snow has rivers like the Passaic here in New Jersey running high and rising.
In New Milford, New Jersey, first responders using boats and high water vehicles to rescue residents from flooded neighborhoods.
Thank God for the New Milford, police department and fire department.
Police declaring an emergency due to high seas and flooding in Hampton, New Hampshire. More than 600,000 customers losing power during the storm. Now a race to restore, ahead of a new system moving in just days.
Country can't get a break in this part. Let's get Rob again with us tonight to take us through the next storm. And Rob, it's really like a conveyor belt here.
Yeah, they are, David, coming back to back, and that means these rivers that are starting to recede in some cases are going to be bumped back right up. The rivers that start with a P, they seem to be most problematic. But look at this map of flood watches have been reposted already for eastern New England for this next storm coming in that's hitting the Tahoe area right now. Winter storm warnings remain up there. Watches up all the way to Michigan. Dynamic storm, more high wind coming with this, and severe weather threat beginning as early as tomorrow night across Texas and Louisiana, then ramping up again across the southeast during the day on Friday. Same spots that got hit with the last one. Dynamic storm with the way of snow. More snow, I think, for Chicago this time, pulling back down through St. Louis. Look at the heavy rain moving across the Ohio River Valley as well. All that action gets pushed up into the northeast, so another round of heavy rain and high winds comes Saturday morning, so more flooding and likely more power outages here over the weekend. David?
Rob Marciano back with us tonight. Rob, thank you. We're going to turn now to Washington, the surprise and then the showdown on Capitol Hill when Hunter Biden showed up unannounced, just as Republicans were planning to vote to hold the president's son in contempt of Congress to move forward to the entire House on this. Hunter Biden's appearance in that hearing room and his willingness to answer questions in public in front of the American people and not behind the scenes, outraging Republicans. And then the moment he walked out. Mary Bruce on the Hill tonight.
Tonight, high drama on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Biden, you plan on testifying today?
President Biden's son Hunter surprising lawmakers, walking into a House hearing where Republicans were preparing to hold him in contempt for refusing to testify behind closed doors. Hunter Biden has long said he would answer their questions, but only in public.
The chairman refused to take yes for an answer from Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden taking a seat right in the front row, the hearing thrown into chaos.
You are the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here and...
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
if
the ladies recognize.
If the gentlelady wants to hear from Hunter Biden, we can hear from him right now, Mr. Chairman. Let's take a vote and hear from Hunter Biden. What are you afraid of?
Hold on.
Democrat Jared Moskowitz of Florida firing right back.
I'm listening to the gentlelady from South Carolina about the witness being afraid to come in front of the committee. It's interesting. He's here. He doesn't seem to be too afraid.
For years, Republicans have tried to tie Hunter Biden's business dealings to his father, but acknowledge they have found no concrete evidence of wrongdoing. Today, he sat silently for 20 minutes when Chairman James Comer called on Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has attacked Hunter Biden in deeply personal terms, Biden walking out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently, you're afraid of my words. Whoa! Oh.
Moments later, Biden's lawyer with this parting shot.
The Republican chairs today then are commandeering an unprecedented resolution to hold someone in contempt who has offered to publicly answer all their proper questions. The question there is, what are they afraid of?
That House committee just voting to advance their efforts to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress, or refusing to testify privately, even though he's repeatedly offered to answer their questions, just only in public. And all this coming as Hunter Biden tomorrow is set to be arraigned on charges of tax evasion. David.
Another day on Capitol Hill. Mary Bruce tonight. Mary, thank you. Meanwhile, here in New York City, Donald Trump's plan to deliver his own closing argument in the civil fraud trial against him now very much in doubt. Trump not agreeing to limits set by the judge, who said Trump must stick to the facts and to the evidence in the case. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, former President Trump's desire to deliver a closing argument himself at a civil fraud trial is in doubt. Trump attended the trial that threatens his real estate business 9 times, and now he wants to close it. His lawyers informing the judge of the highly irregular tactic in an email last week. President Trump plans to present argument at closing. New York Attorney General Letitia James objected, but Judge Arthur Engoron said he would grant the unusual request only if Trump agreed to limit his remarks to relevant material facts that are in evidence and not deliver a campaign speech. The judge also said Trump may not impugn myself, my staff, plaintiff staff, or the New York State court system. Otherwise, the judge threatened to have Trump kicked out of court and fined not less than $50,000. Trump missed the deadline to respond, David, so the judge is assuming he's not going to speak tomorrow. But tonight, Trump says he's still showing up and would like to talk. So, David, we'll see what happens.
Eric Kaczorski, you'll be following it. Thank you. Now to the Middle East tonight, and new attacks by Iranian-backed militants in the Red Sea. U.S. fighter jets and Navy destroyers joined by the U.K. in shooting down 18 drones and 3 missiles. The White House tonight warning the militants to stop, otherwise they will, quote, bear the consequences. Marcus Moore from Israel tonight.
Tonight, American and British warships repelling the largest attack yet from Iran-backed Houthi rebels targeting commercial ships in the Red Sea. 4 destroyers and fighter jets from the USS Eisenhower intercepting a barrage of 18 drones and 3 missiles. It is just the latest escalation in a string of attacks. Today, the White House pressed on whether the U.S. will retaliate.
We put ships in the Red Sea. They've got a choice to make, and the right choice is to stop these attacks. They'll bear the consequences for failure to do so.
It comes as Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with leaders across the region in an effort to keep the war from spreading. And the U.S. is pushing Israel to allow more aid into Gaza.
While Israel says it is providing enough to feed the population, the UN still says more than 500,000 families face starvation.
At this border crossing, Israeli officials insist the food is getting through. But they said aid is often intercepted by Hamas and not easily distributed.
We are doing a daily assessment with the best professionals that we have. As much as I understand, there is no shortage of food in Gaza.
David, just a quick word on those attacks in the Red Sea. A U.S. official tells ABC News tonight that the Pentagon has drawn up plans to strike Houthi facilities in Yemen if it becomes necessary. David.
Marcus Moore in Tel Aviv for us. Marcus, thank you. Back here in the U.S., and one more note from the Capitol tonight. While one House committee was voting on Hunter Biden, another committee was moving ahead to try to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. In the 5-hour hearing today, Republicans saying there is, quote, no reasonable alternative to impeaching him for, quote, dereliction in his duty over handling the surge of migrants at the southern border. Meantime, a bipartisan group of senators continues to negotiate over what could be a landmark bipartisan border security package. Mayorkas has been deeply involved in those talks. When we come back here tonight in New York City this evening, another subway train has gone off the tracks. Also, the new and alarming studies tonight about the water you're drinking from plastic bottles, and the college football coaching grade and his big announcement just in tonight.
If you struggle with CPAP, you should check out Inspire.
Hi.
Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
At Ashley, we believe everything's better in leather, which is why we offer new, refined leather looks that are designed to impress and built to last.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Nature's Bounty Hair Growth. Help grow thicker, fuller hair with just 1 capsule a day of Advanced Hair Complex. Conquer hair thinning.
And fall in love with your hair all over again.
Only from Nature's Bounty.
Even the toughest spills are no match for the world's best vehicle protection. Laser-measured WeatherTech floor liners. Discover all the ways to keep your vehicle looking like new at WeatherTech.com. Proudly made in America.
Well, tonight, for the second time in a week, a New York City subway train has gone off the tracks. Emergency crews removing nearly 40 passengers after a car on the F train jumped the elevated tracks on Coney Island. Service disrupted in both directions. No one was hurt. It comes to 6 days, though, after 24 people were injured. A train collided with another train and derailed. This was on Manhattan's Upper West Side there. When we come back, a college football coaching great and his big announcement tonight. We have news on the water in those plastic bottles you're drinking.
My mom's Alzheimer's never changed how much we love her, but it did change her. She developed agitation that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. She started yelling, pacing around, kept repeating the same questions. She got agitated often, so we asked her doctor for help.
Rexulti is the only FDA-approved medication proven to reduce agitation symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death. Weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur. Take action for your loved one. Ask their doctor about Rexulti.
Dupixent helps you do more with less asthma and can help you breathe better in as little as 2 weeks. Dupixent is an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that's not for sudden breathing problems. Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Ask your specialist about Dupixent.
Upon approaching the 18th green, Issa Tanaka silently proclaimed, "My brother may think he's a better golfer, a more witty conversationalist. He may think he's superior, but he's not. Because I switched to Consumer Cellular for the same coverage for up to half the cost. He may have mom's dimples, but I pay less for wireless. I'm the one who wins." Birds, when freedom calls, we're here to answer.
You didn't live this strong, this long, to get put on the shelf like a porcelain doll. If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, you can build new bone with Evenity. Ask your doctor if you can do more than just slowing down bone loss with Evenity. Want stronger bones? Then build new bone. Evenity can help in just 12 months. Evenity is proven to reduce spine fracture risk by 73%.
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a cardiovascular problem. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions and low blood calcium have occurred. Tell your doctor about jawbone problems, as they have been reported with Evenity, or about pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred.
Don't let a break put you on a shelf. Talk to your doctor about building new bone with Evenity.
To the index into one of the greatest college football coaches of all time, now retiring tonight. ESPN reporting that Alabama head coach Nick Saban has told the team he's stepping down. He won 7 national championships, 6 with Alabama. In 28 years as a head coach, he never had a losing season. That is incredible. And in the NFL tonight, after 14 years, Pete Carroll is out as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, the winningest coach in team history. He led them to a Super Bowl title, of course. Now 72, he will remain with the team as an advisor. There's a new study out tonight about the water in plastic water bottles. The National Academy of Science says the bottles may contain at least 100 times more microscopic pieces of plastic than previously thought, an average of 240,000 nanoplastics per bottle. Scientists say there is not enough evidence to detail any long-term health risk. A spokeswoman for the International Bottled Water Association says the study lacks, quote, standardized methods. When we come back here tonight, the retiring pilot, his final flight, and who was standing right there next to him, the surprise for that plane.
It's Etsy's Valentine's Day sales event. Get up to 40% off gifts made by real people until February 14th. Save on jewelry, jackets, homeware, and more. For up to 40% off handmade gifts, Etsy has it. Shop Etsy.com.
Boo. Frightening free radicals are everywhere. Luckily, Palm Wonderful's antioxidants help defend against them. Real life is scary. Protect yourself from free radicals with Palm.
You won't.
Salonpas, makers of powerful pain relief patches for 89 years, believes in continuous improvement, like rounded corners that resist peeling, with an array of active ingredients and sizes to relieve your pain. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
Eyes feeling dry? Tired? Stressed? Get a boost of moisture with BioTrue Hydration Boost Eye Drops for comfort throughout the day. They're preservative-free, gentle, and made with naturally inspired ingredients. Stay BioTrue to your eyes.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats are more than you realize. If you're a victim of identity theft, LifeLock works to fix it on your behalf, backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. Enroll now.
Mornings. The golden hour of cold and flu symptoms.
I'm feeling better.
Cough? Congestion?
All in one and done with new Mucinex Kickstart.
Oh, hated that. Headache? Better. Fever, body pain.
Better now.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. It's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season.
Right now, there's just so much happening in our world. So much at stake at the start of every morning.
Making sense of it all, that's not always so easy.
And that's where we come in.
Good Morning America. We want you to know every morning.
We're right here, and we got you.
Finally tonight, the final flight. Tonight, outside Atlanta, the pilot and his surprise that his family, his passengers didn't see coming. Navy veteran Randy DeGroot spent years stationed around the country and deploying on missions overseas, then becoming a Delta pilot for more than 3 decades. All the while, his wife Karen back home raising the family. And on his final flight before retiring, he had his family right there with him on board. He asked his wife of more than 40 years to stand next to him as he spoke to the passengers.
This is my last flight, and I'm just honored and privileged to be with you all today.
Then introducing them to his wife.
She's been my wingman throughout the whole time. And today I want to give her a set of wings because I am going to be your wingman.
And right here tonight,
hi, David.
Randy, the pilot.
I just wanted to lift her up and say I love you and appreciate you for all that you did.
Along with him, his wife, and someone else too.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having us. This is our new granddaughter, Nora.
His wife, Karen, and their 8-month-old granddaughter, Nora.
We now have a whole new life as a retired couple and new grandparents. So we are loving every minute we can spend with her.
Welcoming a new chapter.
Hi, David.
Tonight, his daughter, Laura.
He's loving life and being a wingman for my mom now.
Well, we salute his service, and we're glad Nora got a word in there, too. A great new chapter for that family. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a double homicide in an Austin suburb shocks the community, and the suspect identified as the 45-year-old son.
We continue diving into the Victoria mayoral candidates' personalities beyond their policy platforms as we introduce another candidate.
And ERCOT issues a weather watch for next Monday's cold front.
Yes, we've got a lot of weather headed in our direction. We've got to start taking care of our pipes, tender vegetation, our pets, and sprinkler systems and all kinds of things. We're looking for a hard freeze next week, coldest air we've seen this year. We'll talk all about it and get you prepared and planned for this. All that coming up in just a moment.
And one of the most legendary coaches of all time reportedly retiring. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria police arrested 24-year-old Triana Stovall of Victoria in the 5800 block of North Stockbauer Tuesday night. She faces 6 charges, including 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. She is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $33,700 bond.
Over the weekend, a theft occurred at Scherer Kubota, located at 1984 U.S. Highway 77 south of Hallettsville. Authorities say suspects cut the fence in the rear of the property and took 8 mowers and a compact tractor with a loader and backhoe. If you have information about this crime, call Lavaca County Crime Stoppers at 361-401-1930 for a cash reward. The Republican women of the Yoakum area are hosting a GOP candidates forum this Saturday at the Yoakum Community Center, 105 Huck Street. The forum for state and federal candidates starts at 6 p.m.
We recently had all of the mayoral candidates live on 25 News Now at 5 to hear their various platforms, and now we're giving you a chance to learn more about their character and personality. We asked all of the candidates the same 4 questions. Our first question was for them to show us an important item in their home or office.
Number 2, talk to me about your dream job when you were a child. Number 3, if you're elected mayor, what is your greatest fear? And finally, what is your favorite quote and why?
My dad wrote a book about his childhood, and 100%, that's my most valuable tangible possession. Yeah.
Is that a book that you can purchase, or it's available?
No, it's actually he put it together, and there's 5 copies, and each of my siblings and myself have one, and so that's irreplaceable as far as I'm concerned. You know, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, which, you know, what kid doesn't? What a great job, but it's not what the cards held for me, obviously. Yeah, you know, I think anytime you're going into a position with those kind of responsibilities or a project, your greatest fear has to be what information is out there that I don't know about, that if I did know about it, I could attack this issue better, I could handle this situation better. So I think it's just a fear of what's out there that you need to know that you don't know about, which is why I'm always trying to, you know, get additional information and study, try to learn everything I can about what I'm working on. There is, and it's too long to quote here, but it's referred to as the man in the arena, and it's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and the gist of it is basically putting yourself out there, doing things that open yourself up to potential criticism, to potential scorn, slings and arrows from others, that sort of thing, but doing so because you know that that's something that you need to do and you want to do. But that's always been my favorite quote.
That was Dwayne Crocker. Also on the ballot, Josephine Solis, Jacob Salceda, Peter Brown, Carissa Winters, and Robert Bob Constantine. Early voting starts January 17th and runs through January 30th. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayor election. Now, a Republican primary candidate forum will be held Monday, January 15th in Port Lavaca. The forum will be at Drifters Hall, 5287 McDonald Road from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Call 361-552-633-13 for more information.
ERCOT has issued a weather watch from January 15th through the 17th next week. The watch is due to forecasted extreme cold weather across the ERCOT region, higher electrical demand, and the potential for lower reserves. Grid conditions are expected to be normal during an ERCOT weather watch. ERCOT continues to monitor conditions closely and will deploy all available tools to manage the grid. ERCOT says no action right now is needed. The Homeless Coalition of the Golden Crescent says 2 warming centers will open in Victoria Sunday at 5 p.m. The Salvation Army of Victoria headquarters, 1302 North Lewis Street, and First United Methodist Church, 407 North Bridge Street, will stay open as warming centers until Wednesday at 8 a.m. Transportation to the warming centers is available from Christ's Kitchen, 611 East Warren Avenue.
And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis, who knows all about this cold front hitting us next Monday.
Yes, we've been talking about it for a couple of days, and I want to give you an idea of where the temperatures are going to be. Tonight, we start at a 54. On Friday, we'll get down to 38, but that's the first front. Then we get mild for Saturday. Sunday's a little cold, but then by Monday night, we're going down to 24 degrees, and obviously that's going to be a hard freeze for all of the area. That's going to be lasting for about 3 days. I'll have more on your chilly weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Mac, thank you. Now to a tragic story out of a suburb in the Austin area. A former judge and his wife were shot to death in their home Monday night.
Police have a suspect in custody, and it's their 45-year-old son.
A tragedy in Williamson County as Seth Carnes is in custody tonight for the murder of his parents, former District Judge Bert Carnes and his wife Susan. CBS Austin has confirmed a harrowing double homicide Monday night. The arrest affidavit says it was Seth Carnes' 20-year-old daughter, the victim's granddaughter, who called 911 late Monday night. The Williamson County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene late Monday night, where they say 45-year-old Seth Carnes came out of the house with one hand in the air and the other holding a coffee mug, and deputies say Seth admitted to killing his parents. Speaking with detectives, Seth Carnes said he thought his mother was trying to put a sleeping pill in his mouth, which he did not want to take. When a detective asked if there was any other reason he shot his mother beside the sleeping pill, Carnes allegedly said, "That's it." Asked if there was a reason he shot his father, Judge Bert Carnes, he said, "I've just been looking for something and figured I would finish the job." The loss of the judge who served on the 368th Judicial District Court of Texas with decades of practice shaking the Central Texas community.
It's hard to put into words how much Judge Carnes meant to the legal community in Central Texas.
Rick Kofer, a Central Texas attorney, knew Carnes and says he had argued a case just last year in front of him.
He was known as a law and order judge. Some would say a throw the book at him type judge. I always found him to be thoughtful, to be kind, and to be a model jurist.
In a statement to CBS Austin, Williamson County Judge Bill Gravel told us Judge Carnes was a committed public servant, respected jurist, and beloved community member. His is a legacy of service in our system of justice, and we mourn his and his wife's death.
A third arrest has been made in the murders of a pregnant teen and her boyfriend in San Antonio. 47-year-old Myrta Romanos faces charges including abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. These charges are in connection with the deaths of 18-year-old Savannah Soto and 22-year-old Matthew Guerra. Authorities believe she is tied to the 2 suspects arrested last week in the case, and they say Romanos admitted that her gun was the murder weapon. Authorities do not believe there are any other suspects involved in the case.
San Antonio fire crews responded to a 2-alarm fire at a warehouse early this morning. KSAT reported that calls of a fire came in just before 7 a.m. These massive flames could be seen coming out of the building. Fire crews managed to stop the fire at the front of the business. Authorities said one person had been inside and was able to leave safely. They are still investigating the cause of the fire. However, they do not believe it to be suspicious. Now, some Republicans now say they're willing to shut down the government if Democrats don't meet their demands.
It's a potentially unpopular position in an election year, but they say border security and debt reduction are worth it.
There's a likelihood we could have a week or two short-term, shutdown.
A growing number of Republicans say they'd support using a government shutdown as a negotiating tactic. Right now, the U.S. is operating under a 2-part funding plan that expires January 19th and February 2nd. Some conservatives say letting the clock run out could pressure Democrats into more spending cuts and tighter border security. Several are holding an event this afternoon to explain that position. They have support from a few GOP leaders.
There are only some very rare exceptions and extenuating circumstances. The border is one of those.
There's a real urgency to get these appropriation bills passed.
But the group doesn't speak for the whole party.
We absolutely cannot have a government shutdown.
It's just a small minority. Unfortunately, we just have a small majority.
Past polling suggests shutdowns are unpopular, and this is an election year. Speaker Mike Johnson says House and Senate leaders are working on a long-term bipartisan plan. Democrats are signaling they could support it, but working across the aisle is what cost former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the gavel.
But people are saying that at home, and they do not want to see our Republican Speaker of the House getting rolled in these meetings behind closed doors.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The former Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson was laid to rest in Austin this afternoon. Johnson is described as a towering Dallas political figure. She began her career as a nurse and was the first black woman elected to any seat in Dallas. She was the only third Texas woman behind Lara Thomas and Barbara Jordan, both from Houston, to represent Texas in the U.S. House. Johnson also became one of the most powerful Texas Democrats in recent memory to serve on Capitol Hill. The Texas Tribune reported that Governor Greg Abbott raised $19 million over the last 6 months in an effort to support political candidates who advocated for expanding school choice in the state of Texas. You can read the full article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. For your viewer poll this afternoon, we want to know, should an elected official use campaign funds to target opponents? Yes or no? According to our results, it looks like 98% stand at no and 2% stand at yes.
I think that's a landslide.
you think so? You would say?
I think so, yes.
Okay, all right, Don. Well, we want to hear your opinion on this. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, you already know we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
Next Monday is the Martin Luther King March and Program. The march starts at 10 a.m. and begins at the Martin Luther King Park on 3808 Callis Street. It will then end at St. Peter's Baptist Church, where a program celebrating the late Reverend Dr. King Jr. will take place. Guest speaker and civil rights attorney Matthew Manning will be attending the program. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Port Lavaca received new signs in several public outdoor spaces in an effort to bring public awareness to rules and regulations. Plus, the Calhoun County Commissioner's Court has authorized for an increase in funds for the Sheriff's Office. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. A judge released the final batch of the Epstein documents. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, the preliminary details of Prince Andrew's involvement this evening.
Also ahead, the school musical in North Texas that nearly cost 20 students, including a transgender male, their roles. Up next, how the production is now set to hit the stage.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is asking the Texas Supreme Court to intervene in a lawsuit from his former top aides, asking the High Court to block a lower court's order for Paxton to testify in the case. KXAN reports Paxton filed an emergency motion with the Texas Supreme Court on Monday, asking the High Court to stop the whistleblower's request for sworn testimony, which was mandated by a lower Travis County court in December.
The last batch of documents involving accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein have been released. More than 150 people were named or mentioned in the documents related to the investigation into Epstein. The wealthy financier allegedly maintained a network of teenage girls he paid to engage in sexual acts with him and other powerful men. The names are largely known from previous public documents and interviews, and many only have a passing connection to the scandal. In the last batch of documents are allegations that Epstein paid a teen $15,000 to have sex with Britain's Prince Andrew back in 2011. Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied the incident.
Sherman High School's production of the musical Oklahoma will take the stage January 19th.
This comes after the Sherman ISD board made headlines when they reversed its gender policy decision.
Rehearsing for Oklahoma has been anything but ordinary.
We've definitely been through a lot.
In addition to memorizing lines and building sets, the cast wasn't sure if the show would go on for weeks.
We had to wait to do some of our rehearsals, obviously, but in that process, we just still ran songs in the classroom.
All while school administrators debated the show's fate. At one point, the district wanted a full recast and to put on the junior version of Oklahoma. Leaders of the theater program say they were not included in decisions about their show.
I have to hold out hope that, everything's going to go right, that, karma's going to kick in.
Fortunately for the cast and crew, everything worked out when the school board unanimously voted to reverse these decisions.
It's really exciting. I didn't think we'd get to do it.
The show will go on in front of an audience that stretches far wider than Texoma.
A lot of people are going to be watching. That's going to be awesome.
This production has set a new precedent for Sherman High School.
The show was originally just going to be another show, and now it's grown into something much more meaningful.
It has sent a message that there will be equality in the theater program and beyond.
We just make sure that we cast who best fits the role. We'll just continue to do that.
The San Antonio Zoo is welcoming the return of flying foxes, an endangered species that has not been at the zoo since the 1980s. A group of flying foxes were relocated from Zoo Tampa to the San Antonio Zoo, and they are now available to view near the tree kangaroos. The large flying fox is listed as endangered. The flying fox is actually a bat that feeds on fruit. They weigh about 8 pounds and have a wingspan of up to 5.5 feet wide.
Here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Quail Record. Ben Gray becomes the new DeWitt County Assistant District Attorney, and the Quail Rotary Club announces 5 new members. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Good evening, everybody. We had some clear skies out there. A pretty nice looking day after the wind settled down. Tomorrow the winds are going to be coming the other way, and the first storm that we've got to deal with is going to be a windstorm. The second storm we're going to deal with is the big chill. Will it be the big, what was it, the big frost, the super frost? Will it be that? Nah, I'm not sure. We'll talk about it. We'll tell you when the cold air gets here, coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've got a map here that's going to show you the low temperatures for the next 5 days. And you can see tomorrow we'll be down into the 50s. And then on Friday, we've got that windy frontal system coming in, getting us down to the 30s. And for Saturday, not so bad. We get up to the 50s. But then Sunday night, we drop down as the big north wind blows in and gives us the big chill. That's what I'm going to call it. Looks like Monday night into Tuesday night into Wednesday, we'll have temperatures down into the 20s here in the Crossroads, so we need to get ready for it now. So you know how they run out of those foamy things at Home Depot real quick. So if you're going to need them and you have exposed water pipes, you just need to get to that quickly, or drive to Cuero or something like that. Otherwise, you need to make sure you cover your tender vegetation. Flower pots that are going to be on the patio got to be inside. And then provide shelter for any outdoor pets that you have, even, you know, the large pets, you know, the cattle and the horses and all that. And the advice is to shut down your sprinkler system. Try and make sure there's no water in them, because when the water freezes, it expands, and next springtime you'll know which water lines are gone. Right now, we're looking at fairly comfortable temperatures. We're looking at 63 here in Victoria and pretty much in the 60s around the area. Of course, we had a lot of sun and we had a lot of wind, but the winds have settled down. As a matter of fact, they're returning back up from the south, and that's why we're going to be mild for a day. But we're doing a roller coaster of temperatures. The high pressure gave us the sunny, nice day, and the winds sort of settled down. Our old storm from Monday is way out there, and our new storm for Friday is here. Now, as I mentioned, this one is going to be a wind storm. Friday afternoon, we're looking for 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing here. So you need to get ready for that one too. You know how they blew up those big Santas for that? You better bring Santa in if it's a big blow up, because otherwise Santa will be visiting other people for the next few days. Here's Future Tracker, and it's going to be complicated. Now you see we've got a southerly wind, but we watch out to the west. By Friday or even Thursday night, the low starts rolling into North Texas. Yes, there's some snow up north in the Panhandle. We're going to have a very slim chance of any kind of rain down here, although to the north it's going to be more interesting. And that's Friday, and it blows away. So we get all the way to Saturday, and it's going to be a fairly nice day. Then things get real complicated. Here's Sunday night. Sunday night, all of a sudden we've got an icy mix coming down. It's basically going to be traveling from Dallas, getting colder, getting colder, getting colder, almost to the I-10 corridor. So as we get into Monday, we've got some snow to the north. We've got icy conditions even getting into the northern end of the Crossroads, okay? And of course, rain to the south, and that would be on your Monday night and into Tuesday. The good news is by Tuesday afternoon, it blows away very quickly, and then we're going to be just downright cold as the cold, dry air rolls in. So what's the difference between this one and the Arctic blast last time that we froze? There's not going to be as much snow or ice with this one, although it could change. Mostly cloudy by tomorrow, up to 73 in Port Lavaca. In Cuero, we're getting up to 73 as well, so that's your Thursday. It's not so bad. Even in Victoria, we're getting up to about 70 degrees, mostly sunny. Here's the extended outlook, and this is where it gets complicated. So Friday is very windy, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Then Saturday, Sunday, not so bad. Sunday night, frontal system blows in overnight, and by sunrise, I'm calling it an alert day for Monday. The high temperature, 39, down to 21 at night, cold Wednesday morning, and Tuesday and Wednesday morning will be down to below freezing. So we need to get ready for that. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Karina, do you know where your heavy coat is?
Mac, I have been storing that heavy coat for quite some time, and I've been wanting to pull it out for, you guys know, cold is my thing.
Hey, this is the Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is my time to shine. Alrighty, well now let's toss it to Zach Brown with your sports.
We're going to have more scores from around the area and a massive report of a legend retiring. I'll have that in sports. Some more basketball scores from around the area last night. The ranked Shiner ladies took on Schulenburg, and let's just say they had their way in this one. A quick release on the three-pointer right here is going to open up an already large lead even further. Back on the defensive side, they get the stop there, and that great defense going to lead to some fast break points. Clinical for the girls on this possession, and on their next possession, the exact same story. This is 3 possessions in a row, okay? It was a track meet, and Schulenburg just could not keep up. Shiner wins 72-12. They play at Louise this Friday. Same gym, but this time for the boys. In this one, a much tighter game. Shiner down just 2 to Schulenburg, but the layup right here, no good. Put back, no good, and they get tied up, and they give the possession to Schulenburg, who was then fouled on the inbound. They made one of their free throws, so Shiner still with a chance, but they need a 3. They're going to get it up, but it's going to get stuffed at the horn. The Shiner boys fall 53-50. What a great game. Over at Victoria East, the girls have been dominant out on the courts, looking to stay undefeated in district, and they're going to do just that. They defeat Miller 87-42. They're 3-0 in district play, and Villa Sanchez led the way with 22 in the game. The East boys did not have the same luck with Miller. Tough 5-point loss for their first District L of the year, looking for that home court advantage against Ray this Friday. The Refugio girls knocked off Yorktown 51-45. Refugio moves to 2-3 in district. Yorktown falls to 2-3 in district play. A shocking report. It is being reported by many major networks that Nick Saban is retiring. He won 6 national championships with Bama, 5 SEC Coach of the Year awards. In his entire college coaching career, he has won 297 games, which is 5th all time. That's nearly an 80% winning percentage. The accolades go on and on and on. Early reports say that Oregon head coach Dan Lanning is the early front runner to replace the legend. Nick Saban was actually a defensive back coach for the Houston Oilers in the 1988 season. I didn't know that. Dawn actually told me that. And speaking of Houston football, C.J. Stroud is your AFC Player of the Week. That's it for your sports. Donna Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to be back in a moment. As of this morning, Miami is now home port for the world's largest cruise ship. We have this story up next.
Finally tonight, how big is this ship? Well, I'll tell you. Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship, pulled into its new home port in Miami this morning. The 20-deck ship is nearly 1,200 feet long and weighs over 250,000 gross tons. The 7,600-passenger ship, which took 900 days to build, features 7 pools, 6 record-breaking water slides, and about 40 bar and dining options, as well as a ropes course and thrill ride, a Flow Rider wave simulator, and a mini golf course. Yes,
that's just a town.
You can play putt-putt on that, wow,
on the
my
high seas.
goodness.
Yeah.
On the high seas. That is one place
It's
where
a whole city.
That's a tiny little city.
that's one place where it might not be a bad place to be like early next week here because
Well, true, yeah. If you can
because
get
it's
on
gonna
a
be little
Caribbean
chilly.
cruise, I'd go. But,
Yes.
the rest of us are going to be chilling out. So do you know where your winter coat is? Because we're going to go beyond sweaters and beyond light jackets because it's going to be a cold one. Now, we start off tomorrow fairly mild. You see in the 70s. The first front is a windy front. Friday's going to be very windy, about 40-mile-an-hour winds. Weekend's okay. It's Monday night when the Arctic blast rolls in, calling it an alert day, and we're looking for temperatures below freezing in the 20s for about 3 mornings. So let's get ready for it now.
And we do have information we mentioned earlier about the 2 warming centers that are opening in Victoria on late Sunday afternoon. That information is on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And thank you for joining us tonight.
That's right. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.